Hello everyone, welcome to the English Globe. I hope you all are doing well today. I'm your host Adam, and as always, I'm here with my wonderful co-host Julia. Together, we bring you interesting and meaningful conversations in English. And remember, this podcast is not just about learning new words or grammar, it's about understanding the world around you in simple, clear English. So whether you're learning English as a beginner or just practicing your listening, we are here to help you every step of the way. Julia, how are you doing today?
Hi Adam, I'm doing really well. And I'm very excited about today's topic because it's something that affects millions of people around the world. And not just in one country or one age group, but across all backgrounds. We are going to talk about something very important: how exercise helps reduce depression and anxiety. It's a topic that is close to my heart, and I know many of our listeners will benefit from this discussion, not just by improving their English skills, but also by learning practical ways to take care of their mental health.
Yes, exactly, Julia. This is a very special episode because it touches both the mind and the language. So before we begin, let's take a moment to explain what we mean by depression and anxiety in simple English. These are two words that many people hear often, especially in today's fast-moving, stressful world, but sometimes we don't fully understand what they really mean. So Julia, would you like to start with a basic explanation of what depression is?
Sure, Adam. So, in simple words, depression is a condition where a person feels very sad, empty, or hopeless for a long period of time. It's not the same as having a bad day or feeling down for a few hours. With depression, these sad or empty feelings last for weeks or even months, and they can make it very hard for the person to do normal daily activities, like getting out of bed, going to work, taking care of their health, or talking to friends. Some people with depression also lose interest in things they once enjoyed, like music, food, or hobbies. It's more than just feeling sad. It's a serious mental health condition.
That's a very good explanation, Julia. And now, let's talk about anxiety. Anxiety is also a mental health condition, but it feels a little different from depression. When someone has anxiety, they feel very nervous, worried, or afraid, even when there is no real danger. For example, they might worry too much about things like school, work, relationships, or the future. Their heart might beat faster, they might sweat, feel dizzy, or have trouble breathing. Some people even have what is called a panic attack, which is a sudden and strong feeling of fear that comes quickly and makes it hard to calm down.
Yes, that's right. And sometimes people experience both depression and anxiety at the same time. They may feel tired, sad, and hopeless from depression. And at the same time, they might feel nervous, restless, and worried from anxiety. And when both of these happen together, it becomes very difficult for the person to feel peace or happiness in their everyday life.
And that's why today's topic is so important. We want to talk about one simple but powerful tool that can help, and that tool is exercise. Now, some of you listening might think, exercise? Really? Can moving my body actually help my mind feel better? And the answer is yes. There is strong scientific evidence and many real-life stories that show how regular physical activity can reduce symptoms of depression and anxiety, and even prevent them in some cases.
That's right, Adam. And when we say exercise, we don't just mean running or going to the gym. Exercise can mean many things. It can be a short walk in the park, dancing in your room, doing yoga, stretching, swimming, or even riding a bicycle. It's about moving your body in a way that feels good to you. And we're going to explain why this kind of movement can be so helpful for the mind. Yes, and just as important, we'll also talk about how people who are feeling depressed or anxious can start exercising, even if they feel tired or unmotivated. Because we know that when someone is feeling low, it's not always easy to begin a new habit. We'll share ideas, routines, and encouragement, especially for our listeners who want to improve both their English and their mental health. And of course, along the way, we'll be speaking slowly and clearly, using useful English vocabulary related to health, emotions, and habits. This will help you improve your listening skills while also learning something meaningful. So if you're sitting comfortably, or maybe taking a walk while listening, we're so happy you're with us today.
That's right. Now, before we jump into the main points, let's take a moment to share why we personally care about this topic. Julia, have you ever felt that exercise helped you during a difficult or stressful time?
Oh yes, Adam. I remember a time a few years ago when I was going through a difficult period in my life. I was feeling very anxious all the time. I couldn't sleep well, and I kept thinking about negative things. A friend suggested I try going for a walk every morning, just 20 minutes. At first, I didn't think it would help much, but I tried it anyway. And after just 1 week, I noticed a change. I was sleeping better. I felt calmer. And most importantly, I felt proud of myself for doing something kind for my body. That's when I realized how powerful exercise can be. Not just for the body, but for the brain too.
That's such a powerful story, Julia. And I can also say that for me, whenever I feel stressed or overwhelmed with work, going for a short run or doing a few push-ups helps me clear my mind. It's almost like my thoughts become quieter and my energy becomes stronger. And now I understand, it's not just in my imagination. There is real science behind this feeling. And we'll talk more about that soon.
Yes, we will. And to all our listeners, maybe you've already tried exercise and felt its benefits, or maybe this is new for you and you're curious to learn more. Wherever you are on your journey, we want you to know that this podcast is a safe and supportive space. We're not here to tell you what to do. We're here to explore ideas with you and give you tools to feel better step by step.
And if English is not your first language, don't worry. We will repeat important words and explain them clearly. Learning English is just like building a strong body. It takes time, small steps, and regular practice. So as we learn about exercise and mental health, you'll also be improving your English listening and vocabulary.
Exactly. And if you hear a new word or phrase today, feel free to write it down, repeat it out loud, or use it in your own sentences. That way, you're not only learning a new topic, you're training your brain to think in English too.
So to give you an idea of what's coming in this episode, here's a quick preview. First, we're going to look at how depression and anxiety affect the brain and body. Then, we'll explain what happens inside your brain when you exercise, and why that makes you feel better. After that, we'll talk about real-life stories and examples. And finally, we'll give you simple, practical steps to start your own exercise habit, even if you're just starting from zero.
We're also going to introduce some helpful words like endorphins, serotonin, stress hormones, and mental clarity. Don't worry if these sound difficult now. We'll explain them in a friendly and simple way as we go along.
That's right. So get ready for a powerful and uplifting episode. If you're listening on your way to work or relaxing at home, we're so glad you're here. Together, we're going to learn something that could truly change your life and your English.
So let's begin our journey into the world of exercise and mental health. Are you ready, Adam?
All right, everyone. Now that we've introduced our topic and shared some of our own experiences, let's go a little deeper into the subject. In this section, we want to help you truly understand the connection between exercise and the way it affects our mental health, especially when it comes to depression and anxiety. We're going to talk about the science, but in a very simple way, so you don't need to worry about complex words or difficult ideas. Just sit back, listen carefully, and remember, you're not only learning about health today, you're also learning how to think in English.
Yes, that's the beauty of this podcast, Adam. We're learning in two ways at the same time. We're improving our English, and we're also discovering something that can really help our minds and bodies feel better. So let's begin by talking about how depression and anxiety actually affect the brain and the body. Because when we understand what's happening inside us, it becomes easier to know why something like exercise can make a difference.
Exactly. So let's start with depression. When someone has depression, their brain works differently than someone who feels happy and motivated. Certain chemicals in the brain, we call them neurotransmitters, are not balanced the way they should be. Neurotransmitters are special messengers in the brain. They help us feel emotions like joy, peace, calmness, or even energy. One very important neurotransmitter is called serotonin. When serotonin levels are low, people often feel very sad, tired, or hopeless.
That's right, Adam. And another important brain chemical is called dopamine, which helps us feel pleasure and motivation. When someone has depression, their brain might not produce enough dopamine either. So, even simple things like getting out of bed, making breakfast, or calling a friend can feel like very heavy tasks. It's not just about being lazy or unmotivated. It's about the brain not giving the right signals. And that's why we say that depression is not just in the mind. It's also in the body, in the way the brain is functioning.
And now let's talk about anxiety. Anxiety works differently from depression, but it's also related to the brain and the chemicals inside it. When a person feels anxious, their brain thinks there is danger, even if there's no real danger. The brain sends a signal to the body that says, you must get ready to fight or run. This is called the fight or flight response. It's a natural reaction that helped our ancestors survive wild animals or dangerous situations. But in today's world, it can be triggered by small things, like exams, work stress, or speaking in public.
Yes, and when this happens, the brain releases something called stress hormones. The most well-known one is called cortisol. Cortisol prepares the body to deal with stress, but when we feel anxious all the time, our bodies are full of too much cortisol. This can make our muscles tense, our heart beat fast, and our minds feel very busy and uncomfortable. People with anxiety often feel nervous, shaky, or like something bad is going to happen, even if everything looks fine on the outside.
So now we know a little more about what's going on inside the brain when someone has depression or anxiety. The big question is, what can help the brain return to balance? What can help these chemicals, like serotonin, dopamine, and cortisol, move in the right direction again? And here is where exercise becomes one of the most powerful tools we have.
Exactly. Exercise is like a natural medicine for the brain. It helps create more serotonin and dopamine, the chemicals that help us feel happy, calm, and motivated. And at the same time, it helps reduce the amount of cortisol, the stress hormone. So when you move your body, even just a little bit, you're helping your brain create a better balance. You're telling your brain, I am safe, I am strong, I am moving forward. This is why many doctors and therapists now recommend exercise as part of treatment for depression and anxiety.
That's right, Julia. There's even a word people use to describe how good you can feel after exercise. It's called a runner's high. This feeling comes from the release of chemicals called endorphins. Endorphins are natural painkillers that the body makes when you move. They make you feel relaxed and even joyful. You don't have to be a runner to feel this. Even a simple 20-minute walk can produce endorphins. And when you feel better, even a little bit, your brain remembers that movement is good.
Yes. And something that's also very important is blood flow. When you exercise, your heart pumps more blood through your body and your brain. This increased blood flow brings more oxygen and nutrients to your brain cells. This helps your brain work more clearly and feel more awake. It also helps you think better, make decisions more easily, and feel more present in the moment. This is especially helpful for people with depression, who often feel foggy or disconnected from life.
And here's something really interesting, Julia. Studies have shown that regular exercise can actually grow new brain cells, especially in a part of the brain called the hippocampus. The hippocampus is responsible for memory, learning, and emotions. In people with depression, this area is often smaller. But with regular movement, the brain starts to heal and grow again. Isn't that amazing?
Yes, Adam, that's absolutely incredible. And this is why exercise is so powerful. It's not just something that makes your body stronger. It actually helps your brain become healthier and more balanced. And the best part? You don't need expensive equipment, or a gym membership, or a perfect routine. Even simple, gentle movement every day can begin to make a difference.
Now, we want to be very honest with our listeners. If you are someone who is struggling with depression or anxiety, we know that just hearing this information may not suddenly make you feel better. We understand that when you are feeling low, even small tasks can feel very hard. But what we hope to share in this podcast is the idea that small steps, done regularly, can lead to big changes over time.
Yes, and we want to encourage you to think about exercise not as something you must do, but as something you give to yourself. It's not a punishment. It's a gift. It's a way of telling your body and your mind, I care about you. I want to help you feel better. And you don't have to be perfect. You just have to begin.
That's so true, Julia. And that's what this section is really about. Understanding. When you understand what's happening inside your brain, and you learn that exercise can help change those things, you feel more powerful. You realize that you have a tool, right there in your own hands, that can help you move forward. And that tool is movement.
So to summarize what we've learned in this section, depression and anxiety change the way the brain works. Important brain chemicals like serotonin, dopamine, and cortisol become unbalanced. Exercise helps to correct that balance by increasing the happy chemicals and reducing the stress chemicals. Exercise also improves blood flow, helps the brain grow new cells, and makes thinking clearer. Even small amounts of movement can help. You don't need to do intense workouts.
And most importantly, exercise is something that you can begin right now, wherever you are in life, whatever your condition. Even a 5-minute walk, a few stretches, or dancing to your favorite song can start the process. And once you start, your brain and your body will begin to remember that movement feels good.
Yes, and in the next section, we're going to share real-life stories of people who used exercise to help with their depression or anxiety. These stories will show you that you are not alone and that small actions can lead to great changes. We'll also talk about how people began their routines, what struggles they faced, and how they stayed motivated.
So stay with us, dear listeners. You're doing an amazing job just by being here, listening, and learning. You are already on the path to understanding and healing. And as you grow stronger in your English, you are also growing stronger in your mind. Hello again, everyone. Welcome back to the next part of our special podcast episode. If you've been listening from the beginning, then first of all, thank you. We're proud of you for sticking with us, and we're excited to continue this journey together. In the last section, we talked about how depression and anxiety affect the brain and how exercise helps balance the brain's chemicals. In this section, we want to go even deeper. We want to help you really understand what happens in the brain when you exercise, and we'll explain it using simple words and clear ideas.
Yes, Adam. This part is so important, especially for people who might wonder, why should I move my body when it's my mind that feels heavy? It's a good question, and the answer is found inside your brain. When we exercise, the brain doesn't just watch, it becomes very active. It starts doing all kinds of helpful things, and it creates the changes that help reduce stress, improve mood, and even help us sleep better at night. So let's explore what actually happens inside your brain during exercise.
All right, let's begin with something called endorphins. This is one of the most well-known effects of exercise. Endorphins are often called feel-good chemicals. Your brain produces endorphins naturally, especially when you do physical activities like walking, running, dancing, biking, or swimming. These chemicals help reduce pain and make you feel more relaxed or even happy. Some people feel a little high after a workout. Not the kind of high you get from drugs, but a natural, healthy feeling of joy and lightness. This is often called a runner's high, but really, you don't need to run to feel it. A simple workout can make your brain release these endorphins.
That's a great point, Adam. And the beautiful part is, Endorphins work almost like medicine, but they come from your own body. They don't cost money, and you don't need a doctor's note to get them. When you exercise, you are giving your brain the chance to produce more endorphins, which help calm your nerves and lift your mood. If you feel stressed, worried, or low, moving your body can actually give your brain something it needs to feel better.
Now let's talk about another brain chemical that is deeply connected to both mood and motivation, and that's dopamine. Dopamine is responsible for feelings of reward and satisfaction. When you accomplish something, even something small, your brain gives you a little burst of dopamine. It's the brain's way of saying, "Well done, that was good." When you exercise, you create moments of achievement. Even just completing a short walk or stretching your arms in the morning can boost dopamine and make you feel more alive.
Yes, and for people with depression, dopamine levels are often too low. That's why things that used to bring joy, like music, food, or even friendships, may suddenly feel boring or meaningless. But exercise can gently help raise those dopamine levels again. And here's something very interesting. The more consistent you are with exercise, the stronger this dopamine response becomes. In other words, the brain starts to expect joy from movement, and this creates a positive habit loop.
That's so true, Julia. And along with dopamine and endorphins, we also have serotonin, another important brain chemical. Serotonin is connected to feelings of calm, happiness, and well-being. It also helps with sleep and digestion. Many antidepressant medications work by increasing serotonin levels. But did you know that regular exercise also increases serotonin naturally? It does. When you move your body, your brain creates more serotonin. This is one reason why people who exercise regularly often report feeling more stable emotionally.
Yes, and here's something even more interesting. Exercise doesn't only increase good chemicals, it also reduces the harmful ones. For example, it helps lower the amount of cortisol in the body. Cortisol is known as the stress hormone. When we are anxious or under pressure, our brain releases cortisol to help us respond to danger. But if we have too much cortisol all the time, we feel tense, worried, and tired. Our muscles may feel tight, our sleep may become poor, and we may feel like we can't relax.
But exercise changes this because it burns away excess cortisol. When you move your body, your brain says, "Okay, the danger is gone. You are active and healthy. Let's slow things down now." So your heart rate becomes more steady. Your breathing becomes calmer. Your muscles begin to relax. And your mind slowly lets go of that heavy feeling. It's like pressing a reset button for your stress response.
Another thing exercise does is improve something called neuroplasticity. Don't worry, this word sounds complicated, but we'll explain it clearly. Neuroplasticity means the brain's ability to change and grow. It means your brain is not fixed. It can make new connections, build new cells, and learn new things even as you get older. When we are stuck in depression or anxiety, our brains can feel like they are stuck in a dark loop, always thinking the same sad or fearful thoughts. But with exercise, we give the brain a chance to create new, brighter patterns.
Yes, that's beautifully said, Julia. Exercise stimulates a protein called BDNF that stands for brain-derived neurotrophic factor. This protein acts like a kind of fertilizer for the brain. It helps brain cells grow, connect, and survive. When we have more BDNF, we think better, feel better, and even remember better. It's like giving your brain food, not food you eat with your mouth, but food it creates from movement.
Exactly. And there's more. Exercise also increases blood flow to the brain. More blood means more oxygen and more nutrients. This helps every part of the brain function better, especially the prefrontal cortex, which is the part of the brain that controls decision-making, attention, and focus. People with anxiety or depression often have trouble focusing or making choices. But when this part of the brain is well nourished through movement, those abilities start to come back.
Let's not forget about sleep either. sleep is so important for mental health, and many people with depression or anxiety find it hard to fall asleep or stay asleep. Exercise helps the body fall into a more natural sleep rhythm. It helps the brain release melatonin at night. That's the hormone that helps you feel sleepy. And when you sleep better, your mind heals more deeply. You wake up with more energy and a better mood, ready to face the day.
So let's pause here and recap what we've learned so far in this section. Exercise produces helpful brain chemicals like endorphins, dopamine, and serotonin. It reduces the stress hormone cortisol. It boosts neuroplasticity and the growth of new brain cells. It increases BDNF, a protein that helps your brain grow stronger. It improves blood flow to the brain, which helps focus and memory. And it helps improve sleep, which is essential for emotional healing.
That's a long list of benefits, and the most amazing part is that all of this happens just from moving your body. It doesn't mean you have to go to the gym or do heavy lifting. Even gentle walking, yoga, swimming, dancing, or stretching can activate all these helpful changes in the brain.
Yes, and we want to remind our listeners again, it's okay to start small. Even 5 minutes of gentle movement is a victory. Your brain doesn't need perfection. It needs consistency, kindness, and care. Every time you move your body, you are sending a loving message to your brain. I'm here. I care. Let's heal together.
In the next section of this podcast, we're going to share real-life stories of people, just like you, who used exercise to help manage their depression and anxiety. These stories will give you hope and maybe even a few ideas for your own journey. But for now, take a deep breath, feel proud of what you've learned, and remember, knowledge is power, and you're becoming more powerful every day.
Thank you for learning with us. We'll be back in the next section with more support, more stories, and more encouragement.
Welcome back, dear listeners, to the next part of our special episode on how exercise helps reduce depression and anxiety. If you've been with us from the beginning, we really want to thank you for staying with us because it shows that you're serious about your mental health, your happiness, and your English learning journey. In the last part, we talked about the amazing ways that exercise affects the brain, how it increases helpful chemicals like serotonin, dopamine, and endorphins, and how it helps the brain grow stronger and more flexible. Now, in this part, we want to bring everything to life by sharing real stories. Stories of people from different backgrounds who struggled with depression or anxiety and found healing through movement.
That's right, Adam. Science is important and we love talking about the brain. But stories are just as powerful. They speak to the heart. When we hear about someone else's experience, we can see a little bit of ourselves in their words. It helps us believe that change is possible. It helps us feel less alone. And it gives us practical ideas we can use in our own lives. So let's begin with the first story. And I think it's one many people will relate to.
All right, our first story comes from a woman named Sarah, who is from the United Kingdom. Sarah is in her early 30s, and she has struggled with anxiety and panic attacks since she was a teenager. She said that for many years she avoided going outside because she was afraid she might have a panic attack in public. She stayed at home most of the time, and her world became smaller and smaller. Eventually, she stopped seeing friends, and her anxiety led to depression. She said she felt trapped in her own mind.
Yes, I remember reading Sarah's story, and it really touched my heart. The turning point came when her doctor gently suggested she try something small. Just 5 minutes of walking outside her house every day. At first, even this felt difficult. She said that her heart would race and her palms would sweat, but she still tried. She would put on her favorite music, step outside, and walk for 5 minutes, then come back. And after a few days, something amazing happened. She noticed that after her walk, she felt calmer. Her body felt more relaxed, and her mind was not racing as fast.
Exactly. She slowly increased her walks, from 5 minutes to 10, then to 20. Over time, walking became a safe and healing routine for her. She said it wasn't just the movement. It was the fresh air, the sound of birds, the feeling of her feet on the ground. She was reconnecting with her body and the world around her, and within a few months, she noticed that she was having fewer panic attacks. She also started sleeping better. Most importantly, she said, I started to believe in myself again. That's the true power of movement.
That's so inspiring. And what I love about Sarah's story is how small it started. No gym, no big goals, just 5 minutes. That's something anyone can do. Even someone who feels deeply stuck can take that first gentle step. Now, let's move to another story. This one is from a young man named Carlos who lives in Mexico. Carlos shared that he went through a very difficult time after losing his job during the pandemic. He said that he felt hopeless and embarrassed. He stopped talking to friends and he felt like he had no purpose.
Yes, Carlos described his depression as a feeling of being invisible, like no one saw him and he didn't matter. He said he spent most of his time in bed, scrolling on his phone, not eating well, not sleeping. One day, a friend sent him a video about home workouts, just simple movements you can do in your bedroom with no equipment. Carlos said he watched the video, and for some reason, he decided to try. He said, I didn't believe it would help, but I had nothing to lose. So he started with 5 push-ups and 10 jumping jacks.
That small action changed everything. Carlos said that after he moved his body, even for just 5 minutes, he felt a little bit more alive. He said, for the first time in weeks, I felt my heart beating for something other than sadness. He started doing the workouts every morning. He followed YouTube videos, learned new moves, and made it part of his daily routine. Slowly, his energy came back. He got out of bed earlier. He cleaned his room. He started eating better. And finally, he started applying for jobs again. Today, he has a new job and says that exercising saved his mental health.
That's powerful. And what I love about Carlos's story is that he didn't need a gym or a trainer. He just used what he had, his body, his room, and a phone. That shows us that the most important tool for healing is already with us. It's our willingness to try. Now let's move to another incredible story. This one is from Amina, a university student from Kenya. Amina has been dealing with depression for many years, and during exams her anxiety would get so bad that she couldn't sleep or eat. She often felt like her brain was stuck in fear mode.
Amina discovered yoga when she attended a free mental health workshop at her university. At first, she thought yoga was just about stretching, but she soon learned that it's much more than that. Yoga includes breathing, focus, and mindfulness. Amina said that during her first yoga class, something unexpected happened. She cried. Not because she was sad, but because she felt release. She said, I didn't know how much tension I was holding inside me. After that, she started doing yoga every morning. She said it became her anchor, something that helped her start the day with calm and confidence.
Yes. And she also said that yoga helped her reconnect with her body in a gentle way. Depression had made her feel like she was just a brain full of pain, but yoga helped her feel whole again. Body, mind, and soul. Amina said that her grades improved, her sleep became deeper, and she started making new friends. She even joined a mental health club at her university to support others. That's the beauty of healing. When you feel better, you can help others too.
That's true. And these stories show us that healing is not always fast or perfect, but it's possible. And it often begins with something very simple, a small walk, a stretch, a few deep breaths. These movements may look small from the outside, but they are big steps inside. Now let's talk about one more story. This one is from Takeshi, a retired teacher from Japan. Takeshi said that after he retired, he felt a deep emptiness. He had spent his life teaching students and being part of a community, but after retirement, his days felt quiet and lonely.
Takeshi said he started feeling tired all the time. He lost interest in food, in reading, even in television. His daughter noticed this and encouraged him to join a local Tai Chi group. Tai Chi is a form of slow, flowing exercise that's often done in parks in China and Japan. At first, Takeshi didn't want to go. He said, "I'm too old for this." But eventually, he agreed, and something beautiful happened. He found peace in the movement. The slow motions, the focus on breathing, and the calm atmosphere brought a sense of balance back to his mind.
Yes, and over time, he made new friends in the group. He said that just being around others, even without talking much, made him feel more connected to life. His depression began to fade. He laughed more, he walked with more energy, and he even started writing poetry again, something he hadn't done in years. He said, "Tai Chi gave me back my rhythm." And that rhythm is exactly what many people lose when they're depressed. The rhythm of movement, of breathing, of living.
So let's reflect for a moment, dear listeners. What do these stories have in common? They all start with small steps. They all include struggle. But they also show courage. They show that movement, no matter how simple, can create change. And that change can lead to hope. Whether it's walking like Sarah, doing home workouts like Carlos, practicing yoga like Amina, or flowing through Tai Chi like Takeshi, movement becomes a medicine, a silent, gentle force that helps us rise again.
And if you are listening right now and feeling lost or low, we want you to know you are not alone. These stories are not just about other people. They are mirrors. They show what is possible for you too. You don't need to wait for motivation. You don't need to be perfect. Just begin. Stand up. Stretch. Breathe. Walk. Move. You don't have to go fast. You just have to go forward.
In the next section, we'll talk about how to build your own exercise habit, even if you have no energy, no experience, or no time. We'll share step-by-step guidance to help you begin your healing journey through movement.
So take a deep breath, hold your heart with kindness, and get ready for the next step on this journey. You're doing amazing, and we're here with you every step of the way.
Welcome, dear listeners, to another deeply important and practical part of our podcast. If you've been listening to this episode from the beginning, you already understand how powerful exercise can be for mental health, and we've shared the science behind it, real stories from people around the world, and the emotional impact movement can have on the mind. But now, it's time to move from theory to practice, to give you clear, beginner-friendly steps so that you can build your very own exercise routine that will help reduce feelings of depression and anxiety in a safe, realistic, and empowering way.
That's right, Adam. We know that for many people, the idea of starting an exercise routine can feel scary or overwhelming, especially when they are struggling with sadness, stress, fear, or a lack of motivation. It's not easy to get out of bed when you're feeling low. It's not easy to take action when your brain tells you there's no point. So today we're going to break everything down step by step, in a way that is gentle, encouraging, and simple. Because starting small is not a weakness. It's the strongest thing you can do when you're healing.
Exactly. So let's begin with step 1. Understanding your why. Before we do any kind of physical activity, it's important to ask yourself, why do I want to exercise? Your answer doesn't have to be complicated or perfect. Maybe you want to feel a little more energy in the morning. Maybe you want to sleep better at night. Maybe you want to reduce the tightness in your chest or stop the negative thoughts. Maybe you just want to feel like yourself again. Whatever your reason is, make it personal and write it down. When you have a reason, you have a direction.
Beautifully said, Adam. Your why becomes your anchor, something you can hold on to when the motivation disappears, and we all know it will sometimes. So now that we have our why, let's move to step 2. Choose the easiest starting point possible. Most people fail to build a new habit because they try to do too much too soon. They say, I'm going to exercise for 1 hour every day, and then they stop after 2 days. But healing isn't about doing a lot. It's about doing a little every day. So ask yourself, what is the easiest form of movement I can do today? Maybe it's a 3-minute walk. Maybe it's stretching your arms. Maybe it's dancing in your room to your favorite song. Keep it small. Keep it gentle. Keep it kind.
That leads us perfectly to step 3. Create a simple daily schedule. Human beings are creatures of habit, and our brains love routine, especially when we are feeling anxious or depressed. So pick one time in the day that feels best for you. For some people, morning movement helps them start the day with energy and focus. For others, evening exercise helps them release the stress of the day. You don't have to move at the same time every day, but having a regular schedule makes it easier to stay consistent. For example, you can say, every morning after brushing my teeth, I'll stretch for 5 minutes. That's a perfect start.
Yes, and now, let's talk about step 4. Choose a type of movement that feels good to you. There are many different ways to move your body, and not all of them are right for everyone. You don't have to run if you don't like running. You don't have to do push-ups if that feels stressful. Movement should feel good, not like punishment. If you enjoy dancing, then dance. If you like walking, go for a walk. If yoga helps you feel calm, do yoga. If you like sports, play a little football or basketball with a friend. Even cleaning your house or gardening can be a form of exercise. The key is to enjoy it, even just a little.
Right, and that takes us to step 5. Track your feelings, not just your fitness. Most exercise plans focus on numbers. How many calories burned, how many steps walked, how many pounds lost. But when we're using exercise to heal mentally, the most important thing to track is how you feel. After each session, take a moment to ask yourself, how do I feel now compared to before I started? You might feel more relaxed, more focused, a little lighter, or just proud that you did something. Write it down in a small notebook. This will help you see your progress, even when it feels invisible.
That's a powerful idea, Adam. We often forget that emotional progress is just as important as physical progress. And now we're ready for step 6. Make it social, if you can. Depression and anxiety often make us feel isolated, but movement can help us reconnect with others in small, safe ways. If you feel comfortable, invite a friend or family member to walk with you. Join a local class or an online workout group. Even having a phone call with a friend while walking can make the experience feel less lonely. Movement plus connection equals healing times 2.
And let's move forward to step 7. Use music, nature, or rituals to enhance your experience. For many people, adding a little beauty to the exercise makes it more enjoyable. You can create a playlist of songs that lift your mood. You can choose to walk in a place with trees, water, or sunlight. You can even light a candle or do a short meditation before or after you move. When you make your routine feel special, not like a chore, but like a gift to yourself, it becomes easier to do it every day.
Now here comes a very important part. Step 8. Accept that some days will be harder than others. Healing is not a straight line. There will be days when your energy is low, your motivation disappears, or your anxiety feels too strong. That's okay. Those are the days when your smallest actions matter most. If you can only stretch for 2 minutes, that's still a victory. If all you do is sit up in bed and take deep breaths, you are still choosing healing. Don't aim for perfection. Aim for progress, and always celebrate every small step.
Perfectly said, Julia. And that brings us to step 9. Practice self-compassion along the way. Many people who struggle with mental health also struggle with being too hard on themselves. But true healing comes from love, not pressure. Speak kindly to yourself. Say things like, I am proud of myself for trying, or today I moved, and that's enough. Your inner voice can be your greatest coach or your worst critic. Choose to be gentle. Choose to be encouraging.
And finally, we reach step 10. Keep going, even when you don't feel like it. This step is simple but powerful. The truth is, there will be days when you don't feel like moving, and those are the days when movement can help the most. Don't wait for the perfect mood or the perfect day. Movement creates the mood. Movement creates the day. Start small. Start slow. But start. Every time you move your body, you send a message to your brain. I care about myself. I'm not giving up.
So, let's do a quick summary of the 10 steps, just to help our listeners remember. Understand your why. Start with the easiest movement possible. Create a simple, regular schedule. Choose movement that feels good. Track your emotions, not just fitness. Include others if possible. Use music, nature, or rituals to make it special. Accept hard days as part of the process. Be kind to yourself. Keep going, no matter what.
That's a beautiful guide, Adam. And to everyone listening, remember that healing through movement is not about doing more. It's about doing what you can, when you can, and believing that it's enough. Your body is your ally, not your enemy. And every small action you take is a seed of healing being planted inside of you. You may not see the change today, but it's growing.
And we are so proud of you for listening, for learning, and for taking these lessons seriously. In the next and final part of this podcast, we'll talk about how to stay consistent long-term, how to avoid common mistakes, and how to keep using exercise as a lifelong support for your mental well-being.
Until then, take a deep breath, give yourself some love, and remember, you are stronger than you think, and you are never alone on this journey.
So pay attention to the way you feel after moving, not just physically, but emotionally. Ask yourself simple questions like, do I feel lighter? Or, is my mind a little clearer? Or, am I proud of myself for showing up? These emotional reflections are powerful, and when you write them down or say them out loud, they remind your brain that movement is not a chore. It's a form of emotional medicine that you can return to anytime you need it.
Exactly. And to support that idea, let's talk about making your environment friendly for movement. Sometimes it's not our motivation that's the problem. It's the obstacles in our environment. For example, if your workout clothes are buried under a pile of laundry, you'll feel less likely to change and move. But if your exercise shoes are placed by the door, or your yoga mat is already rolled out, your brain receives a little invitation. Hey, this is easy. Let's just start. So create a space, even a small one, that makes movement feel natural and accessible.
That's a great point. Another important strategy is to celebrate your wins, especially the small ones. We often wait to celebrate until we've done something big, like losing a certain amount of weight or finishing a long run. But when you're managing anxiety or depression, the real victories are often invisible to others, like getting out of bed, stretching your arms, or walking for 5 minutes. These small acts are actually huge acts of courage. You should celebrate them with kind words, a smile in the mirror, or even a little reward. Your brain needs positive reinforcement to build strong habits.
And speaking of kindness, one of the most powerful ways to stay consistent is to talk to yourself like a friend, not like a coach. We all have that inner voice, and unfortunately, it's often harsh, critical, and unforgiving. But you would never speak to a struggling friend the way you speak to yourself. So try saying things like, "You're doing your best," "I'm proud of you for trying," or "It's okay to rest, you'll come back stronger." This type of self-talk creates a safe, emotional space where your habits can grow gently and naturally.
That leads perfectly into another point. Be flexible with your routine, not rigid. Life changes. Some days you'll have more energy. Other days you'll feel low. That's normal. If you can't go for a 30-minute walk, do a 5-minute one. If you're too tired to exercise outside, just stretch at home. If you're overwhelmed by anxiety, take 3 deep breaths and move your fingers or shoulders. Movement doesn't always have to be big to be meaningful. What matters is that you don't break the chain. Even the smallest action keeps the habit alive.
Let's not forget the power of visual tracking tools. Sometimes it helps to see your progress visually. It gives your brain something to hold on to. You can use a simple calendar and mark an X on every day you moved. Or you can use a habit tracker app that shows your streak. When you see a long chain of small wins, it motivates you to keep going. And even if you miss a day, that visual reminder helps you get back on track the next day without guilt or shame.
That's so helpful. Now let's talk about something that often breaks people's consistency, the comparison trap. We live in a world where social media shows us people who run every day, lift heavy weights, or post perfect fitness photos. But that's not real life, and it's definitely not real healing. You are on your own journey. You don't need to be like anyone else. You don't need six-pack abs or 10,000 steps a day. You just need to move in the way that feels right for you. So protect your mental space. Unfollow accounts that make you feel less than. Focus on your own progress, not someone else's highlight reel.
And if you're someone who struggles with motivation, especially during depressive episodes, here's something gentle you can try. The 2-minute rule. If you feel too tired or down to exercise, just promise yourself you'll do it for 2 minutes. That's it. 2 minutes of walking, 2 minutes of light stretching, 2 minutes of dancing. Often, once you start, you'll continue. But even if you stop at 2 minutes, you've still kept your promise to yourself. And that's powerful.
Another strategy that helps long-term is to combine movement with something enjoyable. If you don't enjoy exercising alone, try listening to your favorite podcast, maybe even this one, or watch a funny video while you walk indoors, or call a friend and talk while you walk. Pairing movement with something pleasant creates positive associations in your brain. It turns a task into an experience, something you actually look forward to, not something you feel forced to do.
That's great advice. And for those who want to go even deeper, you can try keeping a movement and mood journal. Every time you exercise, write down what you did and how you felt emotionally before and after. Over time, you'll notice patterns. Maybe walking helps you sleep better. Maybe yoga reduces your panic symptoms. Maybe dancing lifts your mood instantly. These patterns help you build confidence because you begin to realize that you have tools, not just theories, for emotional balance.
And finally, let's talk about making peace with pauses. There will be seasons in your life when you move less. Maybe you're sick. Maybe you're grieving. Maybe you're burned out. That's okay. Rest is not the opposite of movement. It's part of it. The most successful long-term habits are built by people who allow themselves to pause, reset, and return without shame. Your journey doesn't end when you stop for a while. It only ends if you decide not to come back. And we believe you will always come back because you are learning to love yourself in motion.
Yes. And remember, your relationship with exercise is just like any other relationship. It grows stronger with time, patience, and care. It may feel awkward at first. It may feel hard some days. But the more you show up with kindness, the more your body and mind will begin to trust the process. You are not doing this to fix yourself. You are doing this to connect with yourself, to support your brain, nourish your heart, and protect your future well-being.
So, whether you're just starting out or have already begun your journey, remember, movement is one of the most powerful forms of self-respect you can offer yourself. Not because society tells you to look a certain way, not because someone else is watching, but because you matter. Your peace matters. Your energy matters. Your joy matters. And every step you take, no matter how small, is a step toward healing.
We hope this episode has not only helped you improve your English, but also given you emotional tools you can carry into your daily life. You are not alone. And every time you move with intention, you're choosing courage over comfort, healing over hiding, and growth over fear.
As we reach the final part of this episode, we want to invite you to take a quiet moment with us, not to learn something new, but to reflect on everything we've explored together. Over the past hour, we've talked about the deep connection between physical movement and mental well-being. we've talked about how exercise can change the chemistry of your brain, reduce stress, improve your mood, and even help you sleep better. But more importantly, we've talked about how it can help you feel like yourself again.
Exactly. We didn't just want to give you information, we wanted to give you hope. Because depression and anxiety can sometimes make us feel stuck, like nothing will ever change. It's like being inside a fog that never lifts. But the truth is, even though the road is difficult, there are tools that can help. And movement is one of the most powerful and most natural tools we have. It's always available. It costs nothing. And it connects you back to your body, your breath, and the present moment.
And we hope you now see that exercise doesn't have to be extreme. You don't need to run marathons. You don't need to go to the gym 5 days a week. You don't need to push yourself until you feel pain. What you do need is gentleness, patience, and the belief that small, kind steps matter. Because they do. They matter more than you know.
Sometimes we think that exercise is just about fitness or looking good. But it's so much more than that. It's about healing. It's about building emotional strength. It's about creating space in your mind and light in your body. When you move, even a little, you send a message to your brain that says, I care about myself. And that message begins to change everything. It rewires your patterns. It gives you energy. It reminds you that you are alive and capable and not alone.
You know, we often hear people say, I'm too depressed to exercise, and that's understandable. Depression makes everything feel heavier, even standing up, even brushing your teeth. But the truth is, you don't need to feel motivated to start. You just need to take one small action, one breath, one stretch, one step outside, and that action creates a spark. That spark becomes momentum, and that momentum becomes change.
And remember, no one is asking you to do it perfectly. There's no perfect routine. There's no perfect day. There's just this day, this moment. And in this moment, you can choose to take care of yourself. Maybe by walking slowly to the end of your street. Maybe by putting on your favorite song and swaying gently. Maybe by standing up and rolling your shoulders. These things may seem small, but they are acts of resistance against the heaviness. They are acts of courage.
Let's take a moment now, wherever you are listening to this podcast, to pause and breathe. Inhale deeply and slowly exhale. Again. Breathe in and out. Feel your body. Feel your breath. You are here. You are alive. You are strong. Even if your mind tells you otherwise. Even if your emotions feel confusing. You are still here, listening, and that means something. That means everything.
Now let's imagine something together. Imagine a version of you, 6 months from now. A version who moves more regularly, who walks more, who stretches daily, who maybe joins a class or simply dances around the house for fun. Imagine that version of you smiling more, feeling more peaceful, having more clarity, more focus, more sleep, more ease. That version of you is not far away. That version begins with this moment.
It begins with a decision. Not a big one, just a simple one. I will try. That's it. I will try to care for my mind by caring for my body. I will try to move, not for punishment, not for appearance, but for peace. And when I fall down, I will get up. I will keep trying. Because my mental health matters. My life matters. I matter.
We want you to carry this message with you beyond this podcast. Write it down if you need to. Put it on your wall. Repeat it every morning. I will move for my mind. I will breathe through the hard days. I will take small steps, and I will not give up on myself. Because movement is not just about changing your body. It's about coming home to yourself. Every time you move, you are reminding your brain, I am not powerless. I have choices. I have strength. Even on your worst days, you can choose movement, and that choice can change everything.
Before we end, we want to leave you with a simple movement mantra. You can say it to yourself anytime you need encouragement. In stillness, I find peace. In movement, I find strength. In breath, I find hope. Repeat it as you walk, as you stretch, as you wake up or lie down. Let it become your quiet companion, a reminder that healing is not far away. It lives within you.
And always remember, healing is not linear. Some days will feel better, others will feel worse. That's okay. You are still growing. You are still trying. You are still worthy of love, even on the days you don't move at all. This journey is about compassion, not perfection. Let your body and mind be friends again, not enemies. Let movement be your medicine, and let hope walk beside you every step of the way.
Thank you for spending this time with us. We hope this episode didn't just help you improve your English, but also reminded you of your strength, your value, and your ability to take control of your mental well-being through small daily actions.
And we believe in you, truly. Wherever you are in your journey, we're proud of you for being here, and we'll be here for you again in the next episode, to learn, to grow, and to keep moving forward.
Take care of yourself. Breathe deep, move gently, and always remember, your story is still being written, and it's a beautiful one.